I'm fascinated by this cot, right? It's got this little X mechanism. This is a cot, for ambulances, and so you kind of bring it down so it'll fit inside the mechanism. When you bring it down, basically the X kind of, what's the right word, compresses or whatever, closes. And in so doing, you'll see that this cart needs to be designed such that there are two pieces, the one on the left and the one on the right, and basically there's a slot that allows them to kind of extend and compress. So anyways, let's see, I practiced this using this tool called Working Model 2D. All right, it's the idea of just kind of working with basic shapes. So let's do the cart part first. I get 1.25 in its length, and I like 0.1 for its dimension. You can see I can drag it around, but let's just kind of put it at 0, 0. And now I want to duplicate that piece. All right, and let's move this one a little bit to the left. All right, and then let's put this one on the right. And that looks pretty good. And so these basically kind of move together, and the movement that's allowed is a slide joint. Okay, and you hit run, and you'll see that gravity automatically applies, but we really don't want this falling with gravity, so we're going to anchor it as well. All right, there we are. All right, so now let's put the bed in. And my bed's going to be a little bit bigger. And so I'll make this, no, let's make it 2. All right, and I'm good with that height. And again, let's center it with an X value of 0. Let's change the color. All right, and let's put it at its extended height, which is going to be 1.5 meters. All right, so that looks pretty good. So now let's put the X in. Now this is pretty similar shape, but I just think the rounded ends are kind of cool. All right, and so we'll make that 0.1 on the height, and on the width, we will go with 1.9. Right, and this is the rotation. The Working Model 2D company, they'll fix that, but that will in the future say, no, let's not do 45, let's do 50 degrees. All right, and I think that will work for us actually. And so the basic idea is get it kind of overlap properly with the body here. That turns out to be y equals 0.75. And again, the symmetry will be an X position of 0. And at this point, we kind of got it where we want it, and you'll see that connecting it to these parts is pretty easy in 2D. Overlap parts get connected when you use an object like a pin joint. Right? And up here, it needs to be able to slide too. And with that, that's kind of where we stand for right now. All right, and so we'll duplicate this. And we'll make it minus 50 degrees. 0 on X, 0.75. And let's swap that one first. And then let's pin it right there. All right, and you'll see the necessity for the slot now when we hit run. Because, oops. It's a default that in Working Model 2D does contact quite well. And its default is all bodies are defined to collide. Anyways, we might have to do that again, but for right now, that's where our mechanism is. Right, and that reveals, maybe in a subtle way, but and we certainly could go look at that picture again, but I'll show you that the two pieces of the X frame are pinned together, and we'll see that it works a little bit better with that. At this point, I kind of like the idea that we could have contact with the upper platform with the lower one. So both of those selected, we click collide, and that's where we stand. Now there's, excuse me, there's still kind of the issue of this needs to be constrained, but we really need it to slide relative to what I'll call ultimately the bed frame. And the constraint, I think I've observed by kind of looking at the pictures, I think I got this correct. Obviously, it does need to get constrained, and that there's a little member, a little strut, and I'm going to make it 0.6, and I'll put it at an angle of 50 degrees so that I can set it up so that it's kind of perpendicular to that piece right there. And I kind of like that. I'll go with that. So we'll pin it right there. Did I get that? I think I got it. And we'll pin it right there. Right. And let's hit run one last time, and that seems to work. Stop. We'll zoom to extents. Yeah, that looks real good. All right, and I'll finish this by putting the actuator in. All right, and I haven't figured out enough about kind of the necessary control strategy, but certainly if I can adjust the length of this actuator, we can set the position of the whole thing, and through that we might, through our simulation of this, ultimately in Simulink develop a controller on that actuator that really operates the, I'll call it the vertical positioning of the bed. And so for right now, all I want to do is understand the range of motion we're going to look for to be imposed by that actuator. And that's basically the length of the actuator that's observed from that simulation. So thank you for watching.